audio. In audio.
Welcome. How is everybody doing? I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes to come on in, and we're gonna get this thing started once I see some people start to come in. If you got any kind of comments or anything, feel free to go ahead and pop your comments off. I'll answer them at some point during this stream. Also, if you haven't already, this is your first time here, please check in. Let me know that you're here so I can give you the proper shout out and so forth. Also, what particular platform you're watching, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, or either YouTube. Okay. All right. So I'll give you guys a few minutes. You guys seeing some of the thumbnails and stuff like that, so you kind of know what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about two players that people are starting to look at and saying, okay, look, are they viable options for Baltimore Ravens or not? Okay. And I'll basically go a little bit in detail if these guys are added to the team and so forth. So again, I'll give you guys a few minutes to come in. As you guys start to come in, please feel free to share the video on whatever platform you're watching. And oh yeah, by the way, happy Father's Day. So right now, most of the fathers should be getting ready to calm down, probably get their food, probably sit down and watch some TV or whatever it may be. Some of you guys probably get ready to bed down. You probably got work tomorrow. So I'm not going to be on here too long. I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about where my channel's going, some of the things I've been doing, and so forth. So, all right. So as you guys see, I have some new stuff that I've been doing. Got a new intro, got some new music, stuff like that. I basically did a makeover, if you will, if you want to call it that. So did a little makeover for my channel. Going to continue to bring you guys some Raven videos. I know we have the thing that we do on From the Couch Sports on Facebook. A lot of you guys are probably are members of that particular group. And this is my little thing that I'm going to do on the side, basically for the Baltimore Ravens fans. So, all right. So give you guys a few minutes, and if you guys are in here, again, say hello to me. That would be deeply appreciated. So the two players we're going to talk about will be Danielle Hunter and DeAndre Hopkins. Danielle Hunter, obviously, you guys know who it is, pass rusher from the Minnesota Vikings. And then we got DeAndre Hopkins. I'm really certain that you guys know who that is when it comes down to the wide receiver. Used to play for the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans. So both players could be, great additions to any team where they go, where they end up. Danielle Hunter is still on the Minnesota Vikings, so a team would have to trade for him. And DeAndre Hopkins is basically, as you guys know, he's basically riding around getting free meals on by different teams, the Tennessee Titans, the New England Patriots, and I think he's trying to go and get to some other teams and get those free meals. Hey, I'm not hating on you, DeAndre. Keep doing what you're doing. If they're gonna, open or roll out the red carpet for you, cool. Who am I to judge? Matter of fact, if you come to Atlanta, bring me with you. So I have no issues. All right. So first player we're going to talk about, DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm just going to talk a little bit, and then I have a few slides. It's not much. So basically, I'll tell you guys, why I think that particular guy would be a good addition for the Ravens flock. Because again, some of the things that we are on in Twitter, some of the spaces that we're in, a lot of people are asking questions. Does this make sense? Could we do it? Is he going to want the bag and so forth? Which rightfully so. I would imagine, most players do want the bag throughout their career. But at the same time, some players do sit there and say, okay, look, I'm not worried about the bag. I can turn around and go win the Super Bowl. Because at the end of the day, you getting into the Hall of Fame, a lot of people, that's the first ding that they're going to basically ding on you, especially as a receiver. Did you win the Super Bowl? Receiver and quarterbacks is basically, that's what they're mostly judged upon, is how many Super Bowls did you win, or did you even win one, and so forth. So for DeAndre Hopkins, He is 6'1", little bit over 200 pounds. Plays a lot bigger than what people think he really is. People think he's like 6'4", 6'5". Not that big of a guy when it comes down to height. He's just crazy that he has a catch radius that's unbelievable. He probably has the catch radius of a 6'5" or 6'6" guy. So that's probably the thing that a lot of people look at him and say, oh, you know what? Wait a minute, I thought he was way bigger than that. But no, he's not that big. Now, what I will tell you is his heart is there. His execution is there. You're going to see with some of the numbers that I'm going to pull for you guys, and I'm not going to give you the cookie cutter type of numbers, whereas the yards, the touchdowns, the receptions, and stuff like that. Reason why that stuff really doesn't matter is because again, he was suspended for the first 6 games of the season, and then he lost Kyler Murray last year. So again, for me, I'm not a big numbers guy when it comes down to, hey, okay, because you caught 1,400 yards or you received 1,400 yards, you're going to go ahead and be a bona fide one on a lot of teams. That is not the case because I've seen some receivers go and have 600 yards receiving on the team and go to another team and they blossom. I'll give you one for example, Zay Jones for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sucked. It was not good. Not good on the Oakland Raiders. Came to wasn't good on the Bills either. Came to the Jaguars and did amazing things. I'm not saying hey, he's wide receiver 1, but I am serious saying is if you give a certain receiver a chance in that particular a new offense, a new scheme, now that particular wide receiver can move forward and go show you what he really can do. So again, when it comes out to the numbers not going to jump off the screen for you because if they were going to jump off the screen, he wouldn't be released. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up, and then if you guys got any questions, again, like I said, please pop your questions in wherever platform you're watching. So, all right. So the case for DeAndre Hopkins. So again, like I told you, not a big guy, not a burner. Has a crazy good catch radius. He's a willing blocker. He's going to come in, and if he comes into any team, whatever team he comes into, he is going to basically move that particular wide receiver room to the next level. If they have Super Bowl aspirations, they were a contender before. I would imagine he would move the needle for them to be a front runner for the Super Bowl at some point. Now, everything is riding on health, obviously. Meaning the health of that team, they have to stay healthy. The quarterback, the offensive line, they cannot be one dimensional. That type of stuff. Because DeAndre Hopkins is not going to run the ball for you. So again, he needs some stuff to go along with, as if every receiver needs something to go along with, not just them by themselves. So, all right. All right, so by the numbers, DeAndre Hopkins, his catch percentage rate was 66.7%. 85th in the NFL. That's including all of these numbers that I pulled up are including tight ends and running backs. So to be 85th in the NFL out of I want to say real close to 1,000 players. I want to say, or probably a little bit more. And when it comes down to it, I think this guy is could be better, a whole lot better. If he had more games, he could probably got his numbers a little bit more, and he would probably look a little bit more enticing for other teams when it comes down to them basically saying, okay, look, if he hits the market, he has over 1,000 yards, he has 10 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns, we will basically extend an offer to them. Because what teams won't tell you is everybody's secretly in on the DeAndre Hopkins train. No matter if they want to openly admit it and say, yes, I'm on it. Everybody wants a player like a DeAndre Hopkins. He's a student of the game, loves the game. And then on top of this, he is one of those guys you don't have to kind of motivate to want to go play football. All he wants to do is come out and win as much as he possibly can, and then go from there. Passing targets. So him missing those games, he still was 96 I got 96 targets, and he was 48th in the NFL. So those targets, again, we're talking in the offense with no Kyler Murray. He still was one of the guys that, hey, look, I'm going to get the targets. Now, ultimately, he didn't pull all of them down, which no receiver does. However, this is basically letting you know that look, I can be a part of the offense. I don't have to be the main guy. You don't have to force feed it to me. I work well with others, which is cool. And you want that when it comes down to wide receivers because most wide receivers are given that label of hey, most guys are divas and all they want to do they care about getting 150 targets. They care about getting 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns as fast as they can get it because they know if they get those type of numbers, that's a big payday for them, which is fine. And as most players would want the payday if they're performing at a top 5 or top 10 level in their particular position. So yards per catch, it's 11.6, 73rd in the NFL, and his receiving yards is 17 yards. So again, why does this matter when it comes down to a team like the Ravens? So the Ravens flock, this is the reason why it matters to us. Okay. When it comes down to our completion percentage, our quarterbacks, we were 61%, that's 26th in the NFL. Red zone TDs, meaning that we get to the red zone and we score a touchdown. We were 30th at 44%. Pass play percentage, we were 49%. We basically balanced, right? Which is fine. I don't mind the balance, okay? I just want to be effective when we do pass the ball, which is okay. And the real alarming stat for me is the third down percentage. We were 41%, which is 12th in the NFL. For me, 41%. I don't care about the number that we rank. I care about the 41%. That means 40% of our passes or plays that we have, we just not converted. That's pretty alarming to me because I can tell you right now, if a team knew that they can stop the Ravens 60% of the time or almost 60% of the time per game on third down, that's something that they can thrive for. Hey, let's get them in third down, and we know they can't convert. They're not going to convert. They're going to convert some of them, but they're not going to convert many. So adding another option, a sure hand option like this, this is where those type of things come into play. I know for a fact two of the things that he would basically open up the offense for us when we do pass is the red zone touchdown percentage and then the actual third down percentage conversion rate. So he would definitely help us in both of those particular aspects. So, all right, before we move on to Danielle Holland, I'm going to see if we got any kind of comments or anything. All right, so no comments just yet. All right, cool. All right, cool. All right, so if you guys think, DeAndre Hopkins is a viable option for the Ravens, please let me know. If you don't, let me know what teams do you think he's a viable option for. Two right off the bat that we talk about was the Bills, the Buffalo Bills, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Reason being is because of the chances to go get a Super Bowl. I know for a fact DeAndre Hopkins is definitely going to want a Super Bowl. He does not want to retire out of the NFL and not have a Super Bowl underneath his belt. So at what point, though, is he going to sit here and say, okay, look, let me come down off of trying to get the bag and let me go get the actual trophy? If I want to go Lombardi hunting, I need to basically sit back and say, okay, look, let's stop visiting with teams that will never go to a Super Bowl by the time I retire, and let's look at the teams that could possibly go there. And what I mean by possibly go there, some of the stuff that he laid out in the podcast that he was talking when he was talking, a team with a good quarterback that likes to play the game, a team with a good defense that can turn around and turn teams over. And then last but not least, he wanted an organization that was ran well. Okay, again, certain organizations we can look at them and see they're not ran particularly well. When it comes down to certain players requesting trades, certain players holding out, those type of things happen. What I'm talking about is when you trade away certain players for nothing, for basically grapefruits and walnuts. You basically trade a player away for that. For me, that screams a red flag to me. When you trade away your $100 million asset or your $50 million asset for nothing. And it's not like they were coming up on a big contract. They were already in the contract. So why would you get rid of them and not get anything back? No return on investment. So for me, those are gigantic red flags. Any organization that has those type of things, I would basically, be wary of those particular type of places. So, all right, we're gonna move on to Danielle Hunter. All right, so Danielle Hunter, basically, I'm gonna have the same type of thing. And we're gonna basically talk about what Danielle Hunter could bring to the table when it comes down to if the Ravens were to make a trade for. So first thing is what's the trade market for a player like Danielle Hunter? Danielle Hunter. Do the Vikings want a player in return? What kind of player would that be? Is it going to be a receiver? Is it going to be a cornerback? Is it going to be a lineman? We have no idea what the Vikings would ask for a player like Danielle Hunter. Reason being is because he's in his prime. He's in his prime. He wants to get his payday. I've seen some things on the internet, whether it be websites or whether it be Twitter, whether it be just regular rumblings in these NFL streets. Seen him basically saying, hey, look, at some point he can ask for $20 million a year. And look, I won't be mad at him because we're talking about a premium pass rusher. We're talking about a guy who can get 10 plus sacks, and he has 13 tackle for losses year in and year out on an average. Then again, he's going to basically get that blank check because again, we know the difference in pass rush will make. The difference in pass rush will make. It would turn your entire secondary that was mediocre without it into all pro secondary players. Same thing with your linebackers. They make everybody's job easier, especially if you can get home with 3 or 4 defensive linemen rushing. So if you can get home with 3 or 4 defensive linemen rushing, that means you have 6 or 7 guys roaming freely in their particular zones, and all they got to do is basically stop the hot throws, and they should be okay. Now, I'm not saying they're going to look like the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens, but what I am saying is that the defense becomes more easier if you speed up the offense. So as you speed up that offense and they start to make more and more mistakes, now that particular defense looks a little bit more formidable. So, all right. So right here with Danielle Hunter, right? So just like I told you guys, he had the 10.5 sacks in the regular season, 1 in the playoffs. He was top 10 in his win rate, whether it be pressures or just getting home. He was top 10 in pass rushing for graded by PFF. He played in every game this year. That was huge for him because he had a pec injury, he had a neck injury, he had a lot of different injuries up until this particular year. So when it came down to it, it was for me. I was glad to see that he had finally put the injuries behind him, and I'm pretty sure he was still nicked up at some point throughout the season, but he kind of played through it, played in every game. So that was huge for him. I just wish he was able to get home a little bit more because then it would be a no-brainer for the Vikings to go ahead and give him the contract for what they can or what they should give him. Now, it's not like the Vikings don't have the money. The Vikings have the money. It's the fact that does he want money? Is it money that he's holding out for? Is it something else? Is it how many years? There's a lot of different things that we don't know right now. I would imagine by training camp they would try and have this resolved instead of going in with the distractions. Because again, when you come in with those distractions, every player that's going to be questioned in training camp, it can be a practice squad player that they ask him, and they're going to ask him about the Danielle Hunter situation. Hey, have you talked to Danielle Hunter? He's like, man, look, I'm just happy to be here. They're happy to get some reps because again, they know, hey, look, unless somebody get hurt or somebody gets suspended or something like that, this is pretty much my year. I come here for this particular camera session and all that good stuff, and then nobody really knows who I am until I'm called upon, maybe the latter part of the year and so forth. So, but as you guys see, some of these different things. So the NFL win rate. Why does this matter for Baltimore? Is you guys see some of the win rates for Baltimore. The win rate for Baltimore for passing is 40%. So what does that basically mean is that hey, 40% of the time the Ravens pass rush they win, right? It seems like it's low, but it's not that high in the NFL. The Eagles won it with 52%, or they tied with 52%. But if you look at the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys the defensive line, they have, basically 2 starting lineups within their defensive lineman roster. They have 2 packages of defensive linemen that they can put in and run in the game and out of the game, whether it be 3 plays, whether it be a series, and then they turn around and just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So again, I'm not saying every team can do that, but if you do get to that point, now your team looks a little bit better when it comes down to staying in the game, not being too winded, and then, oh yeah, by the way, if you get into certain situations, you can kind of mix and match the two best guys within those packages and say, hey, look, this would be quote unquote, I'll just for naming conventions, Lamborghini, meaning that these are my speed rush guys. So hey, I call it the Lamborghini. That means hey, I want the guys to go. I want them to rush outside, up the gut, wherever it is. They just get home better than everybody else. Case in point, Danielle Hunter can be either in either package. He can be in, hey, okay, look, I want you wide outside of the left tackle. I want you wide outside the right side of the tackle. Oh, excuse me, I sneezed. I'm sorry. So I want you outside the tackle. Either way it go, whether it be a 5 technique or if you got a tight end attached, it'd be a 9. So he can play either one. Whichever way you want him to be, he can definitely do both. Reason being is because he's patient. He's patient with his block shedding. He's able to read and react like at a drop of a dime. He doesn't really have to, feel the play out and then chase from behind. He can feel the play out and spill and then, disrupt the play, like make the play from behind or make the play, setting the edge and so forth. So Danielle Hunter has everything in his tool bag. Everything in his tool bag. The only thing that I'm going to ask is, who are you going to pair him with? Because if you don't pair him with somebody, again, I just see teams running away from him. And then even then, they're probably still going to pay the price because, again, the guy is not going to just let you run around and do what you want to do. He's fast enough to keep up with your running backs, to get home to your quarterbacks, and so forth. Now, the other thing about it is he's starting to learn how to punch the ball and swipe the ball without landing on the quarterback. If he really perfects that, not saying he has a problem with it, but if he perfects that, now we're talking about a turnover machine on the defensive line. Basically saying, hey, look, he's swiping at the ball. He's getting a lot of turnovers, getting a lot of strip sacks and so forth. When you have that type of player, and you have a good offense or good potent offense, now we're talking about, hey, you're putting up, 40 points or close to 40 points, and now people are not getting 20 because, again, you're turning them over. Now, I'm not saying that's sustainable. You're going to keep that up for for the entire year. But what I am saying is that if you have something like that, that particular thing can take you to the next level well into January and February down to the Super Bowl. So, all right. So let me check again, see if we got any comments. Okay, no comments. All right, cool. All right. So again, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It is Raven Sit Rep. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, obviously, and I'm on Twitter. These are my handles are here at the bottom of my little sheet. So if you got any questions about these two players, please, you can leave them after the live is over, and then we can go ahead and go from there. So the next thing I'm going to do is what we do every time I come on here is we're going to basically talk about the power rankings. Okay, we talk about the power rankings, and basically these are my power rankings, not in ESPN, not NFL.com, not Pat McAfee's, not calling not Colin Coward, any of those, not Skip Bayless. These are mine. These are what I think. And some of the teams, again, this is early. And I'm not a homer. I'm not going to sit and say, hey, the Ravens are the best team in the AFC. I'm not going to say, hey, the Bills are the worst team in the AFC. I'm not doing that. I will be impartial as much as I can about what it is that I believe and so forth. And then if you disagree, that's okay. Just make sure you tell me why you disagree in the comments. Okay. All right. So we'll go with the NFC first. All right. So the NFC first. So this particular power ranking for me, it seems like it's a no-brainer. I just think I want these last two teams to take a bigger leap, and I think they have the pieces to take the leap based off the draft and NFL free agency. So first team, obviously, is the team that went to the Super Bowl. They only got better. They did some stuff in the draft. If they're able to hold on to those players and those players blossom throughout the season, I think it's a no-brainer. Philadelphia is going to be the number one team going into the season from the NFC. And I'll follow suit right behind them with San Francisco. Again, everybody's gotten better. Hopefully, Purdy is going to have a clean bill of health. But I also want to see what are they going to do with their quarterback situation, because they have three quarterbacks now that they believe that can give them something viable for their offense moving forward. Now, if they do trade for him, if they do trade Trey Lance, I want to see what the package is going to be. What are they going to receive for him? Because again, we didn't get a big sample size from Trey Lance or what he was going to become or what he could be. Same thing with Sam Darnold. It's them getting Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, hey, you're a bona fide backup, or we signed you for you to compete to kind of push Trey Lance and have him solidify the backup position. So there's a lot going on there when it comes down to that particular quarterback room. But hopefully they'll get it figured out, and they'll basically see what they have within Trey Lance. So, all right, moving on to number 3. Again, this is one of those teams that, say what you want about them, in the regular season they've always been there. They've always done what they need to do, whether it be injuries or whatever it may be. They've always found a way. I'm not saying they're going to beat number 1 or number 2 consistently, but I am saying they're going to compete. So the Dallas Cowboys, I like what they've done in the draft. I like what they've done in free agency so far. So everything is pointing upwards towards them. Now, the thing about it is that the Micah Parsons thing, are they going to continue to play him as a pass rusher and not just label him as a linebacker? Basically, I want you to go out and cover. Because if they play him as a primary defensive end and he's lined up out there, now we're talking, hey, we can move him around. He can do some different stuff, which he already does anyway. But the difference is that, hey, now you got to pay him that premier pass rush type of money. So again, if he goes out and he does what he did this year and he keeps doing it, look, it's going to be a nice payday for him. And I just think it's going to sting the Dallas Cowboys in the long run, because again, you're saying, okay, look, he's cheap right now because he's on the rookie contract, but when he comes off of that rookie contract, what are those numbers going to look like? So, all right, the next one is Seattle Seahawks. And look, I'm a huge Geno fan. I like Geno, right? But I think what they've done defensively is going to help them get better, because there was a time where the defense was atrocious. Even though they had Tariq Woolen playing, lights out and so forth, they had Kobe Bryant doing his thing back there with him. They had some good players. They brought Bobby Wagner back. They was doing some good stuff. They had some good things going. Now, I think with a full offseason, I think they are only going to get better defensively. If Geno can just partially go back to where he was this year and having those flashes of MVP-like season, I think, Seattle could really surprise some people. They could really make a leap over teams like Minnesota, the Rams, because the Rams may be right back in the fold of things, but I think Seattle could turn around and take a couple teams' spots outside of the guys that are just like years better than them. So, and then the last team for the NFC will be the Detroit Lions. Again, I want to see what they look like without Jamal Williams. However, I think they will be okay because they got Gibbs in the draft. They have Swift still. I think those guys can kind of replace the workload what he had. I don't know about that. Can they replace the engine? Can they replace the motor that Williams had? Now, I will tell you now, we got to watch out for that defensive line of the Lions, because they could be sneaky good with the young guys. They could be real good based off what they have. Okay, they got a couple players in last year's draft, got a few this year in this year's draft. I think those guys could really turn the corner. And Dan Campbell is the type of coach that can really motivate the young guys to want to go out and basically, lose limbs for that particular city, for that particular team, and so forth. And if they mess around and they start believing early on, who knows where they can be? Because Detroit is a tough out. They are a tough out. If they was to actually start winning games, people start to keep coming, and they actually start to get that confidence, I think you can probably look out for the Detroit Lions in years to come. All right. So again, if you don't agree with what I'm talking about, it's fine. Just give me what your power rankings should be. And again, don't give me all homer picks. All right. So moving on to the AFC, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. Okay. All right. So the AFC power rankings for me is Kansas City. Again, the one thing that I'm gonna say about Kansas City that I like is they have Justin Ross. Justin Ross, who's injured, who's basically saying, "Hey, we don't know if he's gonna play at all. We don't even know if he's gonna play football at all." So for him to have a whole year off and he's moving around catching passes, and he has the perfect guy to be catching passes from. Couple him with Sky Moore, and believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes really doesn't need all pro wide receivers. Not as long as he has Kelsey. Not as long as he has Andy Reid. He don't need really crazy good wide receivers. We've seen that because last year was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Kansas City Chiefs, and look how that turned out. So again, he just need reliable guys. That's it. Give me some reliable guys, and we'll be okay. Okay. All right. So the number two, despite all the stuff that they've been talking, what's been going on with them with Stephon Diggs and so forth, I still think the Buffalo Bills are reliable. Uh, Number two when it comes down to the power rankings. I think the Buffalo Bills could turn around and still be in the thick of things when it's all said and done late January going into early February. Uh, Now, it's everything is dependent upon health when it comes down to this. A lot of things. When I say health, and we're talking about every team here. If certain teams lose certain players, we know, hey, that changes the shape of their season. So we know that. The next team would be Cincinnati, the Bengals. Again, the Bengals, they win ugly, but they still have one of the top wide receiver trios, if not probably the best wide receiver trios in the NFL. And as long as those guys keep playing with keep a clean bill of health, and Joe Burrow stays upright, they'll be okay. They got to be in the thick of things. So again, they don't win pretty all the time. They don't blow people out and all that good stuff all the time. But they continue to keep clawing and scratching, and that's what makes them one of those teams that, hey, you gotta kind of you can't overlook them no more. You can't say, okay, there was a fluke season, there was a fluke particular game, and so forth. That stuff is dead. These guys are for real, and again, you got to come out and play your best game to beat this particular team. Okay. All right. Next, number four is my Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, a lot of people like to say, hey, okay, look, the Ravens hadn't done anything, in the offseason to get better or whatever it may be. They still got some holes. Every team has holes. Every team has holes. We didn't know the Eagles were had issues tackling the way they had issues tackling until they got into the Super Bowl. We didn't know that they didn't lack the situational awareness in certain parts of the field. We didn't know that until Kansas City got there. When they got there to play Kansas City, we didn't know that. Okay, we didn't know that Kansas City had offensive line issues at certain points. We didn't know any of that because again, if you was to sit here and say, okay, look, these particular teams are for certain going to do this or for certain going to do that. Again, we might as well just give the trophy out in September or October. If we know for a fact these teams are definitely going to win the Super Bowl. So again, every game got to be played, and for that particular reason, my particular Ravens, I think what they have done, bringing in who they brought in and re-signing Lamar Jackson, I think they're going to be okay. The OBJ thing, the Nelson Aguilar thing, both of those guys being signed. Look, if we keep those guys to the end of the year, they're still playing football in December. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna tell you, I would probably tell you the Ravens will probably win that division. And again, I'm saying that because I just don't believe with the numbers that we've had, with the Ravens passing game, without these guys, we'll bring in two of those guys along with Zay Flowers, and we just end up with nothing. The two passing catching TD tight ends. We got another guy, Charlie Collar. Charlie Collar. We can bring him in if we need to and put him in some packages. It's a lot of different things we have when it comes down to pass catching. The offensive line still has to come out and do what they're supposed to be doing. But if everything molds together like we needed to mold together, I think the Ravens will be again knocking on the door for these particular seedings in the playoffs. And don't be surprised if the Ravens fall in 1, 2, or 3 when it comes down to the seeding. Okay. All right. Next team. A lot of different moving parts for this team too, with the New York Jets. The New York Jets, the big acquisition for me, again, for most people, was Aaron Rodgers. What I'm loving about Aaron Rodgers is he's doing stuff. I don't know if he's doing it because the camera's around, or I don't know if he's doing it because he's in a new area or a new team or whatnot. But him out there coaching up wide receivers how to run fade routes, how he wants them to run it, so he can basically be able to back shoulder it or basically have them high point it and so forth. I think that is huge when you get that from the QB perspective, because now we're talking about we're getting real time updates and chemistry building from the quarterback to the wide receiver. I think that is huge because you have some quarterbacks don't like to tell their receivers how to run routes, but sometimes they tell them how to run these particular routes in these particular situations. The reason why they do that is because, again, if the defense is over top, you're basically covered. So now I got to basically throw it low and away. Okay, throw it low and away, or throw it low inside because, again, they're outside. Okay, cool. And then it's basically they know those type of things. So now if I already see it when I line up, if the guy's over top and he won't let me get over top of him so I can go high point it, he already talked to me about, all right, I'm back shoulder to you. But if the linebacker's to the inside, all right, it's a fade. You're going to run a fade, but I'm going to throw it to you. I'm going to back shoulder to you to the outside. So we know those type of things. We get on the same page. Now we're talking that chemistry that the defenders don't know where we're going. Okay. So for Aaron Rodgers showing that type of leadership, that for me, that's everything. That's everything, especially with the Jets, because we knew what their problem was. Their problem was their offense. Losing Brees Hall, and then basically after they had no run game, they basically became one-dimensional, not having a reliable quarterback. I just didn't think they were set up for success. So hopefully they'll be able to rectify all those particular issues that they had, and so now the Jets could be one of those teams to be one of the top teams in the AFC. So, all right. Again, if you had an issue with any of my particular rankings, please please again tell me about my particular rankings, and then please put your rankings down in the comments wherever you're watching, and then we'll go from there. Now, I can't see who you are on Facebook, so it says Facebook user. I don't know how that happens, but hey, it is what it is. So I can't see who it is, but what I will tell you, if you have your power rankings, we can go over them during next week's stream. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, and I'm going to get out of here. And again, if you guys haven't already, be sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all my videos. Most of my videos are going to kind of be in this type of format. I'm not going to do the whole recording and then post it afterwards, because I just don't have the time to sit there and edit all day, all night trying to get a video up. So I'll just basically continue to run my channel, and we'll do streams, and then we'll basically talk about stuff as we go throughout the Ravens seasons and stuff, and everything's with the Ravens. This is mostly about the Ravens, but I will talk about some other teams and so forth when it comes down to it. All right. So again, thank you guys for all the support. If you came here and you said something, it is deeply appreciated. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. And then, okay, it's Eric Witt. Okay, that lets me know everything. This right here, look, it's a gentleman named Eric Witt on Facebook. I can guarantee you this is who this is. I will have a bet, my beard and my bald head. If I show up the next time on the stream and I have dreadlocks and I'm bald faced it, so you already know I got this wrong. But I'm willing to bet my bald head and my beard that this is Eric Witt all day, every day. All right. So again, thank you guys again for showing up. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and y'all have a great day. Peace.